Good morning, good evening. A warm welcome to the session where we are celebrating 10 years of Readomania along with Ananke. Um, Let me begin by thanking Ananke to be a fabulous partner and congratulating them on their journey of the last 10 years where they've done some fabulous work in bringing voices from the global south now to the forefront and making more people heard. On that note, let me also introduce myself and my fellow panelists today for the discussion. I am Dipankar Mukherjee, the founder and director of Readomania. And along with me, I have Indrani Ganguly, who's our managing editor. And we have Sutapa Basu, who has been with us for the organization as an author for the last 10 years. In fact, she's been our first author. We'll get into details of each of the profiles as we move forward. But the session today is more about going back and looking at how the journey was, what does it take to build a publishing house, and where do we stand now? But before we jump into it, I'd request Indrani to give a quick introduction, and then we'll request move on to Sutapa, and then back to me. Indrani.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. Good evening, wherever you are. My name is Indrani Ganguly, and I am a manuscript editor. I have been with Readomania for the past 10 plus years now. I'm in my 11th year, and I started my career in the newsroom of Hindustan Times and have been in publishing since 2005. And it's been a very wholesome journey at Readomania. Um, Publishing is now my forte, I would say. Gone are the days of late night news deadlines and all. Uh, it's been a journey full of accomplishments, full of challenges, and I am so happy that today we all gather here to celebrate this wonderful journey. And with my publisher, my mentor, and with Shutopa, who actually introduced me to Readomania and one of our finest authors. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Thank you, Indrani, for being with us, and welcome. Sutapa, over to you.
Redomania for me has been home because, as Dipankar said, Redomania started its journey 10 years ago, and that is also when I started my writing journey. So, Redomania has been holding my hand throughout this journey. And I really appreciate that. I'm very, very grateful to them. And I still need I still need the bolster that they keep giving me. Yeah, so I'm Sutapa Basu. I'm a author, an educationist, and a writing coach. I have been working with writing over the last 10 years, and I have about 11 books which are already published. Some by Readomania, some by others. Before that, I worked for about 25 years as teaching in schools and also as an administrative head. And after that, 25 more years publishing educational materials. I also have authored about four series, English textbook series, which are already being used in schools all over India and also abroad. I also have something called Sutapa Studio, where I coach a lot of faculty members. I coach children. I coach aspiring authors, I love doing it all. So that's what I basically. But basically, I still happen to be a writer, and I love to sit in my corner and write. And I'm really happy for both Indrani and Dipankar who have encouraged me, held my hand, supported me throughout my journey.
Great. Thank you, Shatapa, and it's a pleasure to have you with us all throughout the journey. So let's jump back 10 years ago. I'd probably quit my corporate life, and I was, toying with a few ideas of what to do next. And content has always been on my, at the back of my mind, actually, at that time, what to do and how to do. But I strongly felt that India always had a space, unmet demand, if I may say so. See, uh, we are unique. Globally, publishing has just two broad categories. You're either literary publishing or you are commercial publishing. But in India, we had a midlist category as well, where um, we have a lot of strong themes and great writing, which comes together to create a middle of the list, which was not being catered to properly. And the reason being, mid list does not really have a great demand all the way through. So it's a very risky proposition where some books may do well, some may not do well. So overall, the category still had a lot of unmet demand. And what is unmet demand? Grows from demand and supply side. Supply side, as you all know, now India has become a land of writers as compared to being a land of readers. Even at that time, we had a lot of writers. Okay, so a lot of people wrote really good content, which ended up in the long list of all these publishing houses, traditional publishing houses, and they themselves did not have enough capacity to publish all of it. So there would be these great authors, lovely authors, who would have great content but didn't know what to do with it. On the reading side, on the demand side, the variety of content was also a great point which needed some attention. Just before that, about I think 7 8 years before that, Chetan Bhagat had opened the market, and I strongly say that because he's the one who opened the publishing log gates in India. Okay, and people had started exploring new content. Young people started exploring new content. They wanted more, and these two factors together, I think, made a strong case, at least in my mind, to build a new publishing house. We started off very different actually, and we started off with a combination of an online and offline mode. And very soon in the journey, I realized that to be able to survive more than the online, I have to have a strong offline mode, and that is where we kind of gravitated more towards creating an offline version. And I still remember our first book was a collection of short stories. It was edited by Sutapa and also had a short story by Sutapa. It's called Chronicles of Urban Nomad. Sutapa, do you remember that book and the journey?
Absolutely, absolutely, and very much, and for me as well, it was the first time I had been editing all the while, but mostly educational materials, and that was the first time actually I edited something that in the industry is called a trade book, which is sold on retail, not prescribed, So for me, it was a new thing, and I love getting into it, and I love the way. Let me first go a little, back in retrospect. The fact that there was one day I had just sort of given up my corporate job at Britannica, and I was just sitting around, and this young boy, I will call him boy because actually Dipankar is younger than my son. So this young boy comes to me, and he says that I want to start a publishing house, and he wanted some advice from me. So for a moment, I was really stunned, that because when he spoke about what he had done before this, I realized that he has had absolutely no experience of publishing himself or even being in a publishing house. He had no connections with the publishing house. So I think the first thing I told him is that you will need to have a lot of appetite for risk, because publishing houses usually need very deep pockets. And he says that, well, I don't have them, but I have all the passion. And as I spoke to him, I really was very impressed by the fact that he was definitely not one of those people who believe that, I can just gather a team and start a business. So he was not that kind of person. He was very much hands on. He wanted to know all the nitty gritties of how does one get paper, who are the printers, how do they print, all the, what should I say, the backstory of what publishing is, which I, of course, I helped him as much as I could, because already been with all this for about 25 years. So I did help him, and then I confessed to him that I have left my job because I want to write, and I'm not sure whether anybody will publish what I write, because I'm not sure how good it is. And he said, just write, and let me take a look at it. And I remember that, as I was writing, we would keep discussing with each other. In the meanwhile, he said that I would like to publish first a collection of short stories. I have these authors who have agreed to give me their short stories. So would you like to edit it? So I said, okay, I can try, because I have not really edited a trade book ever, and stories by people, I've not done something like that, but yes, I can try. And I remember so well that as I was editing this particular anthology, I would keep going back to him and showing him what I edited. And I really loved the way he guided me by explaining how the voice of the author must remain through all the editing. So he says, go ahead, edit, but be very careful that you are not editing, you're not editing out the author's voice, which was something that I have kept like a kind of a guideline even today. I don't edit anything today. I don't do an editor's role anywhere. I'm still writing, but that is something that stayed with me, really stayed with me. And as we kept talking, I must tell you this because this is something I don't know how many people have been able to identify this. But having been in publishing, I know how important this is. Dipankar is one person who can conceive a book. He can conceive a story and he can understand how that story needs to go. And that concept, that story, how will it work in the market is something that he understands totally. And that is something that you cannot teach anyone. It just happens to be there. It's a talent, a skill that you're born with, and he has it. And that is why I have always gone back to him whenever I have an idea, whenever I have a concept. And he has given me wonderful advice as to whether it will work, whether it will not work, and how can it be modified so that it works. And it's always been innovative, interesting, and by the way, it always worked.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that bring back a lot of good memories from the past. But yes, one thing that I do agree with Sutapa is that we strongly believe in working with our authors and helping them modify stories. In fact, we do share a lot of ideas with many of our authors and work with them to convert those ideas into books. More on that later. But Indrani, over to you. So, 10 years plus in one place, and you've seen us grow, you've seen us move from where we were and where we are now. So, tell us something about your journey.
Yeah. So, I my first project was editing Readomania's first full-length novel, and I remember at that point I would work on one book, start to finish, and only then you would give me the second project. And I had to show you every round of editing, every round of proofreading. He would ask me, how many corrections, Indrani? And so, he was so hands on. I've worked with 4, 5 publishers before this. But nobody was so hands on like you are. Right now, of course, the volume has increased. We increased steadily, and I am so grateful that you've given me so much leeway now. Although you still are totally invested in every aspect of the making of the book, right from deciding on the title to approving the blurb to the cover designs. He is always there. So I know even if I go wrong somewhere, he's there to point that out to me. And although I have more editorial experience than him, but he has, I think, an equally keener eye and a head full of ideas. And so now at this point, any day I'm juggling between 8 to 9 books at the same time in various stages of production. Uh, Everything happens so organically. It doesn't feel like too much work anymore. It is like how it is. And we have grown together, Dipankar. We have it's a small team, but it's a very, very driven team that we have at Readomania. We do everything, like in Bengali we say juto shelai to Chondipat. So we do everything. And that is why, when our books get so much recognition, be it longlisted for an award or shortlisted or eventually winning an award, it feels like a personal victory, because from the very concept to the final book, when it goes out to the bookstores, it feels like we've raised a baby and we've let it out to the world, fully dressed and to take on the world's challenges. We have grown this beautiful community of authors who are so supportive of each other. They're beta reading each other's manuscripts, and they are always there to support, be it conducting interviews or be it, reviewing each other's books. So I think that is the biggest takeaway, to build this community, who are there for us, who are open to new ideas. Dipankar will just call up someone and uh, discuss an idea, and that author would be ready to write a book on that. And uh, this community feeling, this whole journey, I think that has been the biggest thing. We have created a brand that people trust. People know that even if we are giving 4 books a month, those 4 books are worth reading. Those 4 books are quality products which will hold their identity in this huge market. So that has been the biggest a blessing for me, at least, being part of Readomania. Now Readomania is home to me. I uh, I, I have stopped doing anything, whatever I was doing, on the side. This is where I give my full time. My daughter has been, has grown up almost like a Readomania baby. She was just 7 years old when I joined, and she's almost on the verge of joining college now. So yeah, I wish we grow more and more and more. We do much better work, more volume, more quality more than quantity. And as a team, we are more driven by Dipankar's ideas. And yeah, that's it.
They're all being very modest. It cannot be about one person's idea. There is always a team that works. So I may have started the organization, but without the support of the community and the team, nothing can move forward. And to be very honest, she's telling that, or she's saying that I'm the one who's doing things now, but honestly, she's the one who takes the lion's shares of effort now. On the content side, after probably the ideation and sometimes maybe a little bit of development, she's the one who does everything. Yes, I do give her sleepless nights on the cover and the name. In fact, we have very bad fights on the cover and the name. So, but there are certain things that you, as a marketeer, also you have to be very careful about that. Are you putting the right name out there, the right cover out there? That's the first thing the in the team or the readers look at. So yeah, Shitaba, over to you. So over the years, what are the 3 or 4 things that you've seen changing in us for the good?
There have been many things that Readomania has definitely, I would say progressed on. But I will first go to the first thing that Readomania has done. Readomania has, they have given birth to authors. I would say I would use that word very strongly. Authors have been born through Readomania, and I think the first one was me. I would straight away say that the first one was me. Dipankar really groomed me into what it is to be an author, because authoring is not only writing. There is so much more to being an author. Whether it's promoting the book, whether it's marketing the book, and so on. And I will repeat something I had repeated, earlier in another panel by Ananke, that when my first book was published by Readomania, Dangle, the psychological thriller, he came back to me and he said, I want to see one post on social media every day. And he's talking about a time when social media was not such an influencer. And yet he had, he was able to sort of see into the future. He had the foresight and he told me that this is going to become a very strong influencer. So I want to see a post every day. And I was like, every day? What am I going to post about every day? He said, I don't know. You have got to post every day. Whatever you want to post, you post. And you will not believe, pushed by him, prodded by him, I did that. And today, it has become a habit. Every day around, in the evening when I finish all my writing and I'm sitting there, for a little bit of coffee and me time, I'm then going to the social media and I'm thinking, what am I going to post today? Whether it's going to be an image, it's going to be a video, it's going to be something connected to the book or writing, basically. And I'm doing it. And, like earlier when I started, there was only Facebook. But now there are so many platforms on which I am posting regularly, if not every day, every second day. And it's basically a habit. I feel uncomfortable if I don't do it. So that is completely his contribution to my growth as an author. Also, I'm sure they will agree with me. A lot of friends, because Indrani just spoke about the community. So Readomania has a very strong community of authors and editors. And there are people like Harshali Singh, there is Mona Verma, there is who else should I say? Dr.
Anupama Jain.
Yeah, Dr. Tripti, all their debut books were published by Readomania. And slowly they have grown into the kind of eminent authors that they are today. And throughout, the hand holding has been done by Indrani and Dipankar. So I'm sure all of them are extremely appreciative of this. And this is one of the unusual things about Readomania. I am already working with other publishers, but this kind of community is not there in any other publishing house. Not only is it just a community, there is so much support. Uh, I can easily go to anybody on that community and say, "Will you please beta read my book?" Or "Will you please come and have a conversation with me at my launch?" And they are all willing to do that. And not only that, they all come, to launches, which is a tough thing on a weekday in Delhi, because usually they happen in the evening, and they wade through traffic, which is horrible, and they still come to the launch. This is what, no, simply they say this is what friends do. So these are the friends that we have grown. It's not just writing, not just getting published by Readomania, but we have friends now. We Whether we call ourselves the Readomania family, or we call ourselves Readomania friends, whatever. But this is another very unusual, unique aspect of Readomania.
Coming to our growth story again, early in our growth, we realized that there are two big pillars which will hold the market or the house together. One is distribution, the other is marketing, and both are very very challenging given the number of publishing houses that are there in the country, given the kind of books that we are publishing, given the kind of books that are being published in the market itself. So we did this. I would say, in hindsight, very good thing that our focus was to tie up with the best two distributors in the country, and we were very grateful to them in the market that within a few years, I think within the first or second year itself, we got on board IBD, and within another year or two, we got on board Prakash, and those two uh, behemoths in distribution really helped us reach to a wider audience, and that helped us a lot. So any publishing house needs to have a very good distribution, and that is possible only through this method. The direct to consumer and the big retail houses came much later, but this was one very very important thing. And I still remember, in the beginning, I have worked as a delivery person, I have worked as a salesperson, I've gone practically to every distribution house in Daryaganj, which is considered to be the mecca of publishing in India, asking them what terms of business will they give, what terms of distribution, what is the reach, how do they sell, what can we do. In fact, that was a time when FMCG used to use a lot of promoter as a concept, putting their people in stores to see. We experimented those ideas also early in the day with houses like Crossword, and it gave us some early support and encouragement. So I think that was really a few good things that we did in distribution. On the marketing, well, we are still evolving, but early enough, we realized that marketing cannot be just the publishing house's game. It has to be the author's game as well. Because eventually, more than the publishing house, it is the author who has to go and tell the world that this is what my work is. So we also eventually have to sell the author, because that's a big part of the content. The credibility of the book lies a large part with the author and the large part with the house it is coming from. In fact, there was a time when people would go into a shop and also refer to publishing house, which is not so much these days, but earlier it used to be a lot. Now it has come down. Now it's far more democratized because we have this huge industry of self publishing coming up, which has kind of opened up the gates. So it's different here, but author marketing became very important, which is where i I do push a lot of my authors, rather our authors, in trying to build this as a career. So if you take being author as a career, you would have to do certain things to invest in it. It doesn't happen overnight, and Sutapa is a great example of that. Over the years, how different books came out. She has pegged on every possible tick in the box in the author's life. She won a prestigious award. She won the author award for The Curse of Nadir Shah, the best fiction book that year, right? She then went on to even judge that particular award last year. Then she's managed to have a presence in multiple literature festivals, including JLF. She's had her stories picked up for audio format, video format. So practically all ticks and boxes have happened, but they have not happened overnight. It takes time. It's probably sometimes a slow process. There are obviously fast means as well if you have great investments in place, but a slow and steady really makes a good possibility in the market. In fact, there are a lot other authors that I can name. You think about Harshali, you think about Mona, you think about Anupama, you think about Shalini. All of them have taken small steps at a time and probably grown into much wider audience, much better reach over time. Uh, so yeah, so that's something we really are happy. And another fact, and Indrani, I must bring you back in the conversation over here. uh, we've always believed that our books should also create an impact. How do you, as an editorial head, balance the commercial viability, which I take care of, by the way, and the impact creation aspect in your editing?
Uh, See, Dipankar, initially, I think we were very proud to be one of the uh, very few publishers in India who gave a platform to uh, unknown writers. We made authors out of very unknown names. Now they're names to reckon with. Today, we have a lot of eminent personalities, celebrities even, on our authors list. But we still focus on each and every author uh, who is a debutant, who has probably written a self published book. But for me, at to ask relevant questions. So these are the things I keep in mind while evaluating a manuscript, and only then I recommend it to be taken by us. Uh, Also, sometimes, there is some writing which we feel uh, might be polarizing, might not be uh, that much impactful for that particular target readership. Then we have to take a call on whether it is suitable for publishing or not. But every manuscript that is submitted to us uh, is given a proper evaluation. Even if it is being rejected, we give feedback as to why it is being rejected. I don't think any other publishing house that has that much time to do it. Although we are, pressed for time too, but we honor the creative work that has been done by every author. And I think the evaluation process itself, we kind of filter out what we need. And by seeing our portfolio, which is so eclectic, you will see we have uh, books in every genre. We have books for every age group. And with our forthcoming imprint, we'll have books for the little ones also, the really little ones. So I think that market is also covered now. So uh, there is not any one genre that I think we have not touched. We have done everything, Dipankar, and I think it just speaks for our uh, outlook of experimentation, our openness to every variety of content, and uh, our motto of bringing good content. So basically, content is king. And then we will develop the author, make them marketable enough. That is your part. But ensuring that what we are bringing out in a book is worth the time that the reader is going to invest in it.
So three things
I,
everybody.
can I just say something here?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Rani, you are totally successful in making content the king because, as I said, I have been talking to other publishers, and the one thing that they always say when they know that I have published with Readomania is that their content is superlative. I mean, the quality of the content that is coming out of Readomania is wonderful, and it has already set a kind of standard, a kind of bar. It has raised the bar of the content that is there in the market. So, Rani, all your effort, all your endeavors have paid off, definitely, I would say. I also want to add something here is that I depend a huge amount on Indrani because her evaluation of any manuscript, any draft that I give is very precious to me. And there have been a lot of books that have finally got published, which have a lot of Indrani's modifications, Indrani's suggestions in them. And I've always been very grateful to her. And I also want to say one more thing because Dipankar said so much about me, but Readomania has also rejected my manuscripts. That is also there. It's not that everything that I write is accepted. No, no, no. So that is again, I would say Indrani has kept her evaluation very, very impartial. She has the same standards and the same bar for everybody. Everybody's writing. And that is why I think all of us, I definitely and everybody has so much confidence in the evaluation that Indrani gives us.
Thank you so much, Sutapa. Means a lot.
Indrani, what I meant to ask, and a lot of viewers may be wanting to know from you, what clicks a manuscript for you, and what do you think will make Readomania accept a manuscript?
We all want to know that.
First of all, the plot. The main thing is the plot for me. How am I moved as a reader first? How much impact did the plot leave on me? Did I, was I gripped from the very first page? Because if I find the first chapter itself boring, I will not even delve into reading the second chapter. So for me, plot line is most important. And then again, how the characters are written. What is the length of the story? Is the length justified, or is it the pacing is slow? So can I develop it further? Is again a question in my mind. What can I do to make this better? uh, uh, can this be saved by editorial intervention? So that is again a factor. And I think main thing is a plot. How much different it is. Have I read something like this before? Is there a book already in the market? Then again, go to Amazon, find, research. What are the similar titles? How similar are they? And what is the target audience? How much will this book impact them? So I think these are the few things that we keep in mind. Of course, if it is written badly, if the language is really shabby, it is a big put off. You don't want to you have no idea how many manuscripts I'm reading in a week. So to give that much of effort to read a very badly written script, and it actually shows the callousness of the writer. Why would you submit it to a publisher? But if it's written well, but the plot line has a bit of lacuna and you feel you can fix it as an editor, then we give it a shot. Then the development part comes. There are some manuscripts which don't need any development, that are really well written. Probably a little bit of copy editing can fix the very small minor issues. That's it. I think a little bit of hand holding, and then we have a good book there. So mainly the plot. Story is the king. You cannot have a story and get a good book out of it. No.
Interestingly, when we started off, we were very fiction heavy. But over the years, we've done a lot of non-fiction books also right now. And, one book that stands out, which we did
Yeah.
last year, uh, was a comprehensive Guide to Scriptures by Sunita Panbansal. Um, Indrani, books like these, especially the ones that we co-develop with our authors, how do you approach content there?
Number one is information. In non-fiction books, information is very important. So basically, to ensure the information that is being given out is for the topic, and number
Are we
two,
losing Indrani a bit?
authentic. So we have to vet all the information that is given. Non-fiction books need a lot more time to edit because everything needs to be vetted. And then ensuring that the book does not veer out of topic. Uh,
Yeah, I think we lost Indrani.
And she was talking about factual information. So I think that is somewhere where I have also been helped in Rani, because when it was we were working on the birth of my nation, which has so many facts, figures, dates, and a lot of factual information. She really helped me by vetting all of them and then finding out, validating the dates, and it was a great help. And I think everything is factually correct in it to a great extent because of Imran.
Absolutely. I think we'll take some time for her to come back.
yeah,
We will have to edit this place out. We'll Once she's back, we'll add. You back?
I'm back. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll continue. Probably while editorial happens, we'll have to chop this part and add something else here. Back to the flow. Sutapa, now coming back to you, do you believe that marketing is something that authors really need to invest in? And if yes, what has been your learning?
So I totally agree that most authors find marketing irksome, and so did I when we started doing this. But what I have realized over the years is that authors definitely needs to invest in marketing, because they are not just marketing their books; they are growing their own brands. So you become known. You were just mentioning the fact that earlier people would go to a bookstore and ask them whether they have books by Penguin, whether they have books by HarperCollins, and so on. But today they ask, "Do you have a book by so and so author?" Why? Because that author has become a name and has grown in reputation, and that can only happen when the author decides to market not just the book. It's not You're not just marketing the book, you are marketing the premise behind it. You are marketing your knowledge that has given forth to that book. So people get to know you as a personality through your whatever way you market it, whether it's through live sessions which you are taking in like author talks and so on, or you are doing online marketing by having videos, by being a part of online LitFests like this. So this is the reason why authors need to be visible, audible and visible, both. And they must remember that they are not investing for the publisher, they are not investing for the book, they're investing in themselves. That's why author should invest in marketing.
Absolutely, I think that's a very relevant point that authors have to also build the personas as such in the world, because that's give them a lot of soft power. In fact, as a published author, you do command a lot of soft power, and it becomes your responsibility to build it and use it judiciously. So where you go, what you do, what you speak, and what you post are becoming very, very, very important.
Very
But I
important.
do see a very interesting change. Just like when we were starting off, social media was gaining its relevance. I believe social media, for publishing at least, is slightly losing its relevance, and it's like going back to the good old method of book clubs, meeting more people, talking to more people, and that's how you go and spread the word. So that's a very good change in a way, because you know, I am a slightly classical person in that sense, that I still believe that authors should focus more on writing, less on marketing. But marketing has become a necessary evil, so you have to go and do that.
So I
Even as publishers,
Yeah, so can I give you just my
yeah,
experience
yeah,
of that?
yeah,
Because I do a lot of books for young adults as well as children. So when I'm taking a session with children or with young adults, the face to face, is fantastic. And that interaction that I have with those readers, it is not just me, it's not just I who is going out to them, they are coming back to me. So I learn from them. It's a learning experience for me as well when I am doing a face to face. So I totally believe what you're saying. Nothing works like a physical interaction with your readers. Nothing works like that.
absolutely. In fact, there are a couple of books that really the journey of those books are very very unique, and I think they're worthy of mentioning. The first is Padmavati. Padmavati was a very very interesting collaboration that we did with Sutapa. And I've been very blunt and honest. I remember Padmavati was written and developed in at a breakneck speed. Okay, because we had to time it with the release of the movie Padmavati, because we believe that if we ride the wave, we will actually win, and that happened. Padmavati is a bestseller. Unfortunately, the book got pirated, and the number of pirated copies sold are more than the official copies sold. But nevertheless, it's a bestseller, and it still sells. Okay, so that journey is something which is very very unique. But we had a blunder there, and only Indrani and I know what happened. The day the book went to publishing, as in the day it hit the printer, it had to hit the distributors. I think end of November. There was a specific date, and just about 2 weeks ago, we sent it to the printer. And after sending, I realized there is a huge mistake on the cover, which is the spelling of Padmavati. Okay, so that our designer Sorish, and he's been with us all throughout. He, for some reason, used, I think, a W instead of a V, and it was chaos. Overnight, we had to change and push it back. Thankfully, the plates were still not done for the cover. We got saved. The other incident I remember is a book where it was published, it was distributed, and then we figured out there is a major error on the cover, and I lost my sleep that night. How could we go wrong in this way? So there have been incidences where we have learned our lessons, but we are now far more structured and agile with far more checkpoints which help us avoid these. In fact, a book like Padmavati, Error was just an example. The other element that we really worked, and we were very, very happy about the book, was also Narkali. Harshali wrote the book. And that also, when I gave the idea to her in the beginning, she was super kicked about it. And again, she wrote it at a breaking speed. And when it came out, it's phenomenal. Nothing that we could ever imagine would be anything close to an Narkali story. And the twist and the turn she's brought in is excellent. The other book that remains in my mind is Mona's Lost and Found in Banaras. That is one book that we republished. It was already available. I don't remember the original name. I think it was God is a River or something like that.
And
I read the book by chance. What was the book name, Indrani? Original one?
I forget, the goddess river is another book.
Okay, okay.
Um,
So yeah, so there was another name, and
mm,
I read the book, and it finished in one go. It was such a, I don't know what kicked about it, but there was something about the book that kept us going, and we agreed to republish. That was the first book we agreed to republish, and thereafter we have done quite a few, but that was the first beginning of our republishing journey. Another book I really, really remember from one of our earliest lots is this one, uh, A Thousand Unspoken Words by Paulami Datta. I still believe it is one of the best romances we ever had. So yeah, so these are some of the books that I distinctly remember. Obviously, there are a lot more. We are now running over 400 books, so it's practically not possible to remember every book. But Inrani, do you have some special memories with some books?
Yeah, I mean, see, each book is special to me, especially the fiction books, because you get to develop them. You get to, mold the story a bit. Uh, uh, Genghis Khan, I think, by Sutapa, it was my first book with her. I had not done Dangle. I was very, very, apprehensive of how do I, approach Shutapa. And I remember you gave me a TED talk that time. I said, how can I be Shutopa's editor? She has been editing for so many years. I'm just a child in front of her. And you said, no, at this point, you are the editor and she's the author and she has to listen to you. And I was very apprehensive, how is she going to react if I'm going to suggest a comma here, or if I'm going to suggest a change of word there. But she was so good to me. She was so open to my ideas. I think Genghis Khan will always remain etched in my memory because it was my first book with her. It was such a magnum opus. I remember we were struggling with the word count, and we had a fixed page count at that time. You cannot exceed 288 pages or something like that. Uh, how to cut it seamlessly, that has been the biggest challenge with all the books. Sometimes we have really good stories but the word count is not enough, then we have to put in illustrations. So there are all these tricks and trades. But and then again, when Padmavani Paula, I remember this was a very short story which then was developed into a full length novel.
Less than 500 words. That story was
Yeah,
less than
yeah,
500 words.
yeah, it was a short
And yeah,
fiction. And then the book that you see now is nothing like the manuscript that we got. It took a lot of development, rounds and rounds and rounds. But finally, the product that came out, I think Dipankar will agree, it's one of our best books because, and it was the first time we were doing, a romantic comedy. So, not many books before that. So, again, it remains etched in my memory. And then from then on, I think we just became pros. We every book and just take start to finish. I my brain just cannot compute anymore. I don't have. But the first few books, they will always remain special. Yeah.
absolutely. Shudaba, do you have any specific memory that you remember from any of our developments? I remember I gave you a very hard time in Birth of My Nation. I do remember the cover, the beginning, and the narrative voice. But are there
Yeah.
any other such
Yes.
things
The
that you
other
remember?
was princesses, monsters, and magical creatures.
Oh
First and
yes.
foremost, Dipankar had this trust in me that I could translate because, very frankly, I am a, what they call a Probasi Bengali. So I have really not stayed in Bengal or for a long period. I've not studied in Bengal. So my understanding of Bangla literature is very, very, very brief. I would use this word. But he had this confidence in me that I could translate and translate a heritage Bengali literature. Uh, Takuma Chuli, the original book, is more than 100 years old. It was the first time that folk tales of Bengal were put into print. That is the first book which came out. And he said that, okay, you can translate that. And at the beginning, I thought, well, it's after all a children's book, and I know the stories in it because I've heard them from my grandmother, and I've read them also on my own. So it should be easy to translate it into English. Oh my God, the challenge! It was very tough to actually translate that book into English. And there were so many times when I called him up and said, these are certain words in Bangla
Yeah.
which cannot be translated into English. I have to retain the Bengali word and maybe we can have a glossary or whatever. And,
And again, onomatopoeic words, Shutopa, remember those onomatopoeic words
yes,
which
and
you
this
had
is
to.
the readers are all, generally meant for readers 10 years, 11 years, 6 to 10 or 11 years. That is the time when children, since I have been in education, that is the time when children love chants. So the entire Thakuma Chudi, the original book, has so many lyrics, so many poems, so many chants. I had to translate them and retain the same rhythm, retain the same meaning, and still have that sound, which the original has. It was a very very tough job, but I'm glad it has been done. And I think when I go to Kolkata, and I even today it's been I think 4 or 5 years since it's been published, and when I go to Kolkata and I visit Starmark, and they tell me this is the winner book of the of all Readomania books, and I feel so proud. So that was a very difficult book for me, and I still remember it. Yeah.
And I remember one more fact about the book. The original stories had violence in it and had probably elements that will not be accepted in today's world so easily. So Sutapa really had to turn them around, make them palatable to the current audience. That was a really, really big thing. On similar lines, I think another book that we really, worked hard with, but with a very, very smooth sailing was for us was The World of Tagore by Devapriya. That's another translation that we really enjoyed. In fact, I also remember one book that stayed with me. Interestingly, another romance, but a mature romance. Shalini Malik. During our COVID days, we were running some workshop, and she had sent that for some editorial help through some means. I don't remember the exact pathway. I loved those stories so much. There were three novellas, and I had told her that you will make a great author. Please, please give this to us. And thankfully, she gave it to us about a year later, and now she is writing great stuff. Archana Sarath. Archana Sarath also has a brilliant knack about thrillers, but they're the soft thrillers. They're not really those hardcore thrillers. But she's another brilliant writer that we've been able to work with for a long time now. And obviously, every author that we work with, that it could be Chetna Keet, it could be Tapan Bansal, Gautam Marwa, Anand Saxena, in fact, Ayan Pal, sadly he stopped writing these days, but these guys have been legends with us. Really, really good work. In fact, now we have two. I strongly believe that two of our latest authors, not latest at that sense, but Vignesh Shivashankar and Tejasvi Priyadarshy, really make a great bunch of new age horror come thriller writers. So we are proud in doing that as well. That we are able to find out things that work and pick up those authors, and hoping that they stay with us for at least 3 4 years and building that up. Yeah, on that note, I think we've already spent a lot of time on this. Closing remarks, Indrani. So, thank you for this
You know,
entire chat. But what do you think should be closing remarks?
Dipankar, I am just so grateful that we have had the opportunity to work with so many eminent and brilliant and talented authors who keep coming back to us, authors who can very well go to much bigger, publishing houses, but they're coming back to us. They come always coming back to us. They have, they treat me as family. And more than my as a professional contact, they have become friends to me. So it is, it's like an osmosis of ideas. I have gained so much knowledge from my interactions with my brilliant authors, and to have the opportunity to play a small part in their creative journey, and to be able to have played a small part in creating the brand name Readomania. And today, if people talk about Readomania, they talk about quality. That is what has been my biggest takeaway, Dipankar. I am so thankful that you started this, and I'm so, so happy that I am a part of this. I hope to be a part of this for much longer, hopefully, uh, God willing. So I want to make Readomania much bigger than it is today, and publish many, many books. And hopefully, people will remember me as one of Readomania's good authors. Yeah.
Thank you, Indrani. That was I don't tear up so easily, but yeah, that was really, really nice. Thank you, Shilpa.
So, Indrani, have no fears. We cannot do without you. So, forget about keeping you with us. We need you badly. Absolutely. So, thank you for that. You said that you're going to be with Readomania for a very, very long time, because we need you. And as far as I'm concerned, Readomania, like I just said at the beginning, Readomania is home for me. And even if I step out of the home, I must come back. I must come back to its warmth, its friendliness, and its support. So, I'll always be with Readomania. Wherever else I go, I will always publish with Readomania. Definitely keep coming back, as Indrani said, because like we can't do without this, this, what should I say, this pure air that Readomania gives us. So we need that, absolutely. And we need Dipankar. though he believes that we don't need him, but we need him also very much because we need to constantly use him as a sounding board for all the ideas that come into our heads. And he can always tell us that will simply not work. He tells you straight away on your face. We need to hear that as well. So I'm so grateful to Readomania. I really appreciate, and I hope it will keep me with them on this.
Thank you so much. I sincerely believe that we are what we are because of our authors. If our authors don't support us, if our authors don't write great content, we would not be who we are. So, we will always have our approach and our strategy as author first. Yes, it takes time for us to decide who becomes our author, and that will continue the way it is. We will not make it easy for people to enter the Readomania domain. But once they enter, they are family. So we'll try our best to ensure that they are our first priority, and that's how we'll go with them. And on that note, we sincerely believe that as a team, we'll continue producing good content that's meaningful, relevant, and makes some impact on the society. We can't say the quantum of impact, but some impact on the society. And we hope to celebrate the 20th year, maybe again with Ananke also together. So yeah, Sabin, to you, thank you so much for giving us a platform, and see you after 10 years again on the same platform celebrating 20 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Ananke.
you.
Thank you, Sabin.
Thank you, Ananke.